Hey guys, it's Shelby. It's really good to talk to you. I haven't vlogged in a hot minute, especially on the Girls Behind the Rock Show account behalf. Um, but today was a tough one after seeing the internet blow up over the Dickie set and then seeing the tirade Ronnie Radke went on over Twitter. I want to be really candid and tell you about how Ronnie's rhetoric causes something I like to call the trickle down effect. If you're not sure what rhetoric is, it's basically the application and use of persuasive language is the best way I can explain it. That could not even be completely correct. I took like 2 classes on it in college, and I still am not 1,000% sure what it means all the time, but it's fine. But the trickle down effect is where someone goes on stage and has their stage persona. And in this case, the stage persona is calling girls sluts, whores, pussies, groupies, hoes, all that good shit. Lot lizards, whatever. And while that can be fun in games, only not really, but whatever, on stage, it does go into this mentality that he's a good dude, so he can say that. He's fine. Like, he's a nice guy, and he doesn't mean it, and he would never do anything like that. It's fine if he jokes around about it. I know him. And then it progresses into this thing where the guys who work around him, who might not necessarily be in the band, but are in the crew, or at the label, or a manager, or at the publisher. There's a plethora of the merch people, whatever. There's a plethora of people surrounding bands who work with them, a plethora of people in their teams, and it trickles down and eventually end up in offices. And obviously, there are going to be women sometimes in these offices, and they feel like, well, I mean, I talk to these dudes all the time about this, and it's a joke with them, and it's going to be a joke in my office, and she knows that I'm a good dude, and it's not insulting to her. I'm not calling her a slut or a whore. I'm just making this funny joke comment. And it's fine because she knows that I'm a good dude and I would never do this. And it goes further and further until you get to the point where you're now required to feel as though these jokes are acceptable because these are good dudes who would never actually do anything. And even if they make you feel disrespected or like less because, these guys are good dudes, you can't say anything. Good dude, it's like necessarily the no homo of misogyny. It implies that people can say whatever they want without repercussions because they're not really like that. And then that goes into the one creepy dude who your office buddies bring around, that you've heard about from some of your girlfriends, who's definitely crossed boundaries, probably isn't the best, but your guy friends know that he's a good dude. Swear. And that girl that you talked to about it, no, you got it wrong. She was crazy. She was obsessed. She said all this because he didn't want to be with her, or he didn't like her as much as she liked him, or she liked him too much and he needed to back off. I've known him for years. He would never do that. So you go out to the bar with all of them and you slip lightly on your alcohol. You avoid any one-on-one interaction with this guy because in the back of your mind, like, your buddies at work who are making those jokes and still think it's acceptable with you in the office to make those jokes are swearing up and down he's a good guy, and while you totally trust their word, in the back of your mind is your friend saying, this happened. And so you ignore him, let it be, and go on with your life as if nothing changed, nothing happened. It's fine. He didn't do anything to you. Your guys at your office or whoever you're working with swear he's a good dude. Maybe your friend is crazy. Maybe she was lying. It's how you rationalize it. It's how you accept it in your own head. And the reality is, bad guys can be good to people, and good guys can be bad to people. There's light and dark in everyone, and if I learned anything from my obsession with Harry Potter and Sirius Black, it matters how you choose to act on the light and the dark inside of you. And Meaning, like, if you're choosing to spread hateful rhetoric about women on stage under a persona and under the mantra of being a good dude, you're not a good dude. You're creating hostile work environments and hostile environments for your fans. And on top of that, you're taking advantage of young women who not only look up to you, but are paying your way in life. 70 to 80% of all entertainment household items are bought by and for young women, meaning 50% of women make up the average crowd at festivals, and 70-80% are the ones actually buying the shit that gives you the income that makes you able to do this. So all of the outside income is coming from these people who you are not showing any respect to. And it's mind-boggling. And it's not okay for you to have them in these crowds being like, this is okay. This is acceptable. We're good dudes. Don't force yourself to believe it's okay. Like, girls are not here for your amusement. We're people. We're not objects. And my company, specifically Girls Behind the Rock Show, is not here just to provide opportunities, but to provide opportunities in safe spaces, to provide opportunities in spaces that you don't feel like you are itching to get out because of how horrible these people treat you. And I know there's going to be dudes who watch this, if, people care, saying, that's not us. That's not our office. We don't do that. But you're already dismissing what I'm saying and not listening and not thinking about the way you act. And you're lucky. You don't have to think about the way you act at work in the music industry, because I do. I have to think about every time I get excited over a band, every time I look at a guy that I think is cute. I have to think about it every time somebody does ask me out on a date in my industry, because what are people going to think? What do I tell them? Do we go public? You're fine, but like, what are they going to think of me? Like, I don't want them to think I'm just with you because you're who you are. I don't want them to think I'm using you. You don't have to think about that. We do. And I think Safer Scene is doing a wonderful job out on the road this summer and helping create those safe spaces. And we want to aid them, but we want to do it as you enter the workspace. We want to take what they're doing from the crowd and transfer it in to every single office, every single music-centric office in the fucking world, to be safer and more respectful and just treat women like people. I get stories every day from young women who have dealt with sexism, and it's a systematic problem. It's not the few, it's not the in-between. It's almost becoming the normal, if not already, or has been the normal. We see people sweeping things under the rug, avoiding calling people out in general, and just pushing back on progressive steps forward. And the change starts in the smallest movements of community, and it's our responsibility to make sure young women feel safe in the spaces that they choose to express and feel the most themselves in. Like, it's so hard for me to call out a space that once was my space. Like, Warped Tour, all of those types of shows, that's where I went to feel the most safe in the world. And to this day, I still, like, when I go home to Ohio, I don't feel at home. I haven't felt at home in such a long time because I haven't been to the House of Blues Cleveland in the longest time. And that is the place in the world that I will always feel the most at home. But it's so hard to create a safe space around yourself in a space that's already unsafe for you to be in. And so we want to encourage this idea and mentality that we can do better. And we have to do better. It's time to be better. It's time to do better, and it's time for all of us to work together to say this is not okay. So this is my plea to Warped Tour. This is my plea to other bands. Like, bands, please pay attention to what the hell you're saying to your young female fans on stage. Warped Tour, please let this be the end of your relationship with Ronnie Radke, because this is enough's enough. And also, please let this be a lesson that you are worth a million times more than any sexist or misogynistic comment you may come across. I love you all. I hope this helped, and I hope to speak with you all soon.